Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. My name's Ellis and I'll be your host, guiding you through this quiz for the silent generation from 1928 to 1945. Do the best you can, there's 50 questions. Question 1. In 1922, which European country became the first to establish diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union? France, Germany or UK? The answer is Germany. Question 2. Which event in 1936 marked the start of the Spanish Civil War? The Battle of Stalingrad, the bombing of Guernica, or coup d'état of right-wing officers? The answer is coup d'état of right-wing officers. Question 3. The 1939 agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union that divided Eastern and Central Europe between them was the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Treaty of Tordesillas, or Munich Agreement? The answer is the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. 4. In 1935, what country invaded Ethiopia, leading to widespread international condemnation? Was it Soviet Union, Germany, or Italy? The answer is Italy. Question 5. Which country was the first to declare war on Germany in 1939? There are no multiple choices here. Do you know the answer? The answer is New Zealand. Question 6. No multiple choices again. What event in 1929 marked the beginning of the Great Depression? And the answer is stock market crash. 7. Who was the US president when the Great Depression began? Franklin D. Roosevelt, Herbert Hoover, or Woodrow Wilson? And the answer is Herbert Hoover. Question 8. What was the name of the shanty towns that sprang up in the US during the 1930s? FDRvilles, Hoovervilles, or Dustvilles? The answer is Hoovervilles. Question 9. What act was passed by the US government in the 1930s to ensure bank deposits? Glass-Steagall Act, Securities Exchange Act, or National Industrial Recovery Act? And the answer is the Glass-Steagall Act. 10. Which famous novel by John Steinbeck, published in 1939, portrayed the struggles of a family in the 1930s? Was it To Kill a Mockingbird, The Grapes of Wrath, or Of Mice and Men? The answer is The Grapes of Wrath. Question 11. Which country did Japan invade in 1937? China, Korea, or Philippines? The answer is China. Question 12. Who was the British Prime Minister known for appeasing Adolf Hitler in the lead-up to World War II? Winston Churchill, Neville Chamberlain, or Clement Attlee? The answer is Neville Chamberlain. Question 13. Who wrote the famous novel Brave New World, published in 1932? There are no multiple choices on question 13. The answer is Aldous Huxley. 14. Which US president was in office when the United States dropped atomic bombs on Japan in 1945? So there's no multiple choices here either, and we're looking for a US president. The answer is Harry S. Truman. 15. Which novel, published in 1945, portrays the story of a young girl hiding from the Nazis during the Holocaust? To Kill a Mockingbird, Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl, or Fahrenheit 451? The answer is Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. 16. Who was the British monarch during World War II? Queen Victoria, King George V, or King George VI? The answer is King George VI. Question 17. Who was the Italian dictator who came to power in the 1920s and led the National Fascist Party? Benito Mussolini, Joseph Stalin, or Francisco Franco? The answer is Benito Mussolini. 18. What scientific discovery made in 1928 revolutionised the field of medicine by introducing the first true antibiotic? Penicillin, insulin, or aspirin? The answer is penicillin. 19. Who was the American gangster and mob boss who controlled organised crime in Chicago during the Prohibition era? Lucky Luciano, Al Capone, or John Dillinger? The answer is Al Capone. Question 20. No multiple choices on this one. Which American aviator and explorer is known for his expedition to the North Pole in 1926? The answer is Richard E. Byrd. Question 21. Who was the American aviator and engineer who made the first successful solo non-stop transatlantic flight in 1927? And again, there are no multiple choices on question 21. The answer is Charles Lindbergh. 22. What event in 1933 marked the end of Prohibition in the United States? The 18th Amendment, the 21st Amendment, or the Volstead Act? The answer is the 21st Amendment. Question 23. What famous outlaw couple was ambushed and killed by law enforcement in 1934? Bonnie and Clyde, Jesse and Frank James, or John Dillinger and Babyface Nelson? The answer is Bonnie and Clyde. 24. What was the name of the Soviet secret police organisation responsible for political repression during the 1930s? Is it KGB, NKVD, or GRU? The answer is NKVD. 25. Which German physicist is known for his contributions in quantum mechanics and the uncertainty principle in the 1930s? Max Planck, Niels Bohr, or Werner Heisenberg? The answer is Werner Heisenberg. 26. We're halfway through. Who was the American boxer who became the world heavyweight champion in 1937 and held the title for a record-breaking 12 years? Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, or Rocky Marciano? The answer is Joe Louis. 27. What major sporting event hosted by Germany in 1936 became a controversial symbol of Nazi propaganda? Summer Olympics, World Cup, or Winter Olympics? The answer is Summer Olympics. Question 28. Approximately what percentage of the US population lived in poverty during the Great Depression? 45 to 55%, 90%, or 60 to 80%? The answer is 60 to 80%. Question 29. What was the name of the famous photographer who documented the impact of the Great Depression on Americans? Ansel Adams, Margaret Bourke White, or Dorothea Lange? The answer is Dorothea Lange. Question 30. What was the term for the period when a significant number of banks in the United States collapsed during the Great Depression? Bank rush, bank panic, or bank run? The answer is bank run. Question 31. Who was the American general who led the D-Day invasion in 1944? Is it General George Patton, General Douglas MacArthur, or General Dwight D. Eisenhower? General Dwight D. Eisenhower is the answer. 32. What event in 1933 marked the beginning of the Dust Bowl in the United States? A severe drought, the Wall Street crash, or the New Deal? The answer is a severe drought. Question 33. Who was the famous American architect known for designing iconic buildings like Fallingwater and the Guggenheim Museum? Is it Louis Sullivan, Frank Lloyd Wright, or Richard Neutra? The answer is Frank Lloyd Wright. 34. Who was the American labor leader and civil rights activist known for organising the March on Washington in 1941? Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, or A. Philip Randolph? The answer is A. Philip Randolph. 35. What was the name of the Allied operation to supply West Berlin during the Berlin blockade in 1948-49? Operation Witless, Operation Market Garden, or Operation Desert Storm? And the answer is Operation Witless, or Vittles. 36. What was the name of the famous British wartime poster created in 1939? Make Do and Mend, Keep Calm and Carry On, or Freedom Prevails? The answer is Keep Calm and Carry On. 37. Which country was the first to develop and use the atomic bomb during World War II? United States, Soviet Union, or Germany? The answer is United States. Question 38. What major conflict in Spain from 1936 to 39 saw the rise of Francisco Franco? Spanish-American War, Spanish Civil War, or Spanish Inquisition? The answer is the Spanish Civil War. Question 39. What was the name of the infamous prison camp in Germany where numerous atrocities occurred during World War II? Auschwitz, Alcatraz, or Sing Sing? The answer is Auschwitz. Question 40. Who was the Soviet spy who passed atomic secrets to the Soviet Union during World War II? Julius Rosenberg, Klaus Fuchs, or Kim Philby? The answer is Klaus Fuchs. Question 41. What landmark US legislation was signed into law in 1935 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt? New Deal Act, Social Security Act, or Fair Labor Standards Act? And the answer is Social Security Act. 42. Who was the Soviet leader responsible for the Great Terror in the late 1930s? Vladimir Putin, Joseph Stalin, or Nikita Khrushchev? The answer is Joseph Stalin. Question 43. What famous dance style became popular in the 1920s, often associated with the Roaring Twenties? Swing dancing, waltz, or Charleston? The answer is Charleston. Question 44. What event in 1931 marked the beginning of the Japanese invasion of Manchuria? The Mukden Incident, the Marco Polo Bridge Incident, or the Nanking Massacre? The answer is the Mukden Incident. 45. What event in 1938 led to the Munich Agreement? Was it the Anschluss, the Sudetenland Crisis, or the Reichstag Fire? Apologies for mispronunciation on any of those answers, but the correct answer is the Sudetenland Crisis. 46. Which British military officer played a key role in the North African campaign during World War II? General Douglas MacArthur, Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, or General George S. Patton? And the answer is Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery. 47. What was the name of the group of World War I veterans who protested in Washington, D.C. in 1932? Is it the Veterans Alliance, the Bonus Army, or the War Heroes? The answer is the Bonus Army. Question 48. What was the name of the famous economist whose work greatly influenced the economic policies of the New Deal? John Maynard Keynes, Friedrich Hayek, or Adam Smith? The answer is John Maynard Keynes. 49. What was the term for the period when the US government temporarily closed all banks to prevent bank runs? Bank holiday, bank freeze, or bank lockdown? The answer is bank holiday. And question 50. Which of the following is not one of the major causes of the Great Depression? Stock market crash, bank failures, or high taxes? The answer is high taxes was not one of the major causes of the Great Depression. Bonus question, which leader ruled Japan as its emperor during World War II? Let us know the answer to that one in the comments below. And while you're there, let us know how many points you scored out of 50. Thanks for playing this quiz, don't forget to subscribe, and if you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified on all of our upcoming videos. In the meantime though, try these quizzes, there's loads already uploaded for you to get involved in. Thanks again for playing, my name's Ellis and I've been your host, we'll see you next time.